Hi, this is Dina Zeckhausen from Atlanta, Georgia. I work at Ferry Psychological Associates, and you're watching GoTarryn TV.
Hey everybody, welcome to GoTarryn TV today. I'm Tarryn, the traveling trainer from Atlanta, Georgia. It's episode 462, and as you can see side by side with me, we have an eating disorder expert, Dr. Dina Zeckhausen. Dr. Zeckhausen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks, and you pronounced it perfectly, by the way.
I can't believe that. First time out of the shot. Well,
easier than Asia.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm still working on hers. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. For the folks out there, Dr. Dina is actually joining us here in the greater Atlanta area from Ferry Psychological Associates. And Dr. Dina, you're also the founder of the company that I interviewed last week, of course, Eating Disorders Information Network. We had Ms. Sarah Pinnell on last week, and she spoke highly of you, referencing that you had founded that company. I'm going to start off the interview by asking you, where did you grow up, where are you from, and if you could tell all the folks out there a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, I grew up in Laconia, New Hampshire, and went to college in Massachusetts and graduate school down in South Carolina, which is how I ended up in the South. Fell in love with a Southerner, which is why I'm still in the South, and we moved to Atlanta in 1989 and opened a practice in 1990. And it was just the two of us to start off, and now 25 years later we have almost 30 therapists in 4 locations. So it's really grown, and that's sort of one half of my life. And then in 1996, I decided to found this nonprofit, the Eating Disorders Information Network. I knew that there were lots of really talented therapists who were working in their separate offices with eating disorders, but we therapists are really not good at marketing ourselves. And this was back in the early days of the internet, and a lot of us didn't even have email addresses. And I knew it was hard for people to find help, so my initial reason for starting it was to help people find the help that was out there. So we put everybody on the website, dietitians, nutritionists, therapists, psychiatrists who specialized in eating disorders, so that people who were searching for help could find it. And then it started to grow into an outreach program. I never thought in terms of prevention, but over the years I got approached by schools who were saying, we really have a problem at our school. Can you come speak to our kids? And we started training teenagers in how to reach out to their friends. And then we developed programs for middle schools and elementary schools for mothers. And now we're working with the School of Public Health at Emory to develop training for coaches. So it's really it's been so exciting to watch it grow over the years.
That's so impressive. Now, so here we are in Atlanta, and we just found out before we started recording, too. We're literally next door neighbors at one of your offices right here. So where are the offices for the folks watching in Atlanta specifically located at?
I work out of 2 offices, the Buckhead office, which is attached to Brio on Peachtree Street, and then we have an office in Marietta near Ferry and Windy Hill. But our practice actually has another office out in Canton, and then another one out in the Sewanee area.
Oh, wow, that's really impressive. So you're all over the place. And let's ask you, going back to Eden, I want to ask you, take us back in time. What inspired you yourself to focus on eating disorders specifically and create the Eating Disorders Information Network?
Well, originally when I was in college, and that was back in the early 80s, and we really didn't know much about eating disorders at all. I was just starting to read some articles about it in like Glamour magazine. I hadn't even heard about it. So now we're much more educated about it, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I was a psych major, so I thought, we would set up weight charts on the wall, and we did all the wrong things, I now know. But so now when I'm talking to teenagers, I say, I know as much as you want to help your friend, these are really complex issues, and it's not about weight. It's usually about trying to manage anxiety. It's about perfectionism. It's about coping with depression and other difficult feelings. So even there are a lot of therapists who don't even specialize in eating disorders. It's really, you have to get really specialized training and working with it. And often the people who are trying to recover need an entire team. They might need a dietitian, a physician, they might need family therapy, group therapy, individual therapy. They might need psychiatrists for medication. So they're very complex disorders. So if you know of somebody who's struggling, steer them in the direction of help rather than trying to fix it yourself.
That's amazing. And so you had founded Eden, and then of course, obviously, you became extremely busy. I can imagine your schedule with being all over the place, and the psychology work. What kind of relationship do you have with Eden presently? Like, do you go to some of their engagements that they have, for example, like the upcoming Celebrity Dance Challenge, or what have you?
Yes, I'm sort of a background player these days. I definitely show up for all the big fun events.
That's cool.
For the Celebrity Dance Challenge and for Merrick's Walk, I'm there. And I am still out in the community doing speaking engagements and steering people back in the direction of Eden if they need help. We just came off of Love Your Body Month, and I participated in a couple of events there. One that was really fun was for women over 40 learning to accept our changing bodies. And eating disorders are not just for teenagers. Actually, they're hitting women around menopause who are dealing with the changes of their children going off to college and their aging parents and the changes in our bodies just from growing older. And I think a lot of us try to get control of our lives by getting control of our food. And so the idea is about learning to accept and embrace the changes that we're going through as we get older and put body image in its proper perspective. By this point in our lives, we know that there's more to ourselves than just our physical appearance. And so it's really about sort of learning how to go with the flow and stop focusing on the little things that really don't matter.
I could relate to that, being a personal trainer, and you see people all the time saying, "Well, I want to love myself on the outside," but like you said, you want to make sure they love themselves on the inside too, and see that self-reflection. That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what is Mod Squad?
Oh, the Mod Squad was a program I came up with for mothers of daughters. But it really applies for fathers of sons, basically parents of children. It's principles for raising healthy kids. And the 7 principles are I think they're on my website. But they have to do with attitudes about food, attitudes about fat, and attitudes about emotions and being emotionally intelligent. We want to teach our kids how to identify and express emotions in healthy ways. I don't know if you've seen the movie Inside Out. Probably not, because you don't have little kids. But it was a wonderful movie with 5 different characters who represent these 5 different emotions that children have. And so it gives them a language for talking about feelings, because what we find are people with eating disorders really have trouble identifying what they're feeling, not just in terms of hunger and fullness, but in terms of sadness, anger, guilt, stress. And so part of the therapy is about being able to separate out what is going on from the neck down. Like, what are you feeling? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you angry? And being able to then find healthy ways to express all that.
I love that. That's awesome. And then in addition to that too, can you tell us about the books that you've written as well? Some of the books, as you mentioned, are listed on your website. Sounds like you had a lot of fun doing that, being an author as well.
That has been fun. The first book that I wrote was called Full Mouse, Empty Mouse, and it started just as a poem for little kids. When we were going out to talk to children in elementary school, we didn't want to talk about eating disorders, but we wanted to be able to talk about feelings and food. And so I wrote this little poem about 2 mice, their brother and sister, and the boy mouse eats too much. When he's stressed, he eats too much, and when she's stressed, she doesn't eat enough. And then how their peers respond to that. Of course, the little boy gets teased and bullied, which makes him eat more, and the little girl gets told how great she looks, which makes her eat less. And so I wanted to show how overeating and undereating are really just flip sides of the same coin. I think that in our culture, everybody thinks about the obesity epidemic as being this big problem over here, and then there's the people with eating disorders over there. And I really wanted to show the connections between these 2 problems, and how it's all on a spectrum of using food to cope with feelings. So I found this amazing illustrator who beautifully illustrated this book, and it's actually been more popular than I can imagine. It's really interesting. I will be in the most random places. I was at a walk at UGA a couple of weeks ago for the National Eating Disorders Association, and I was out there with my book at a table, and these college students were coming up to me going, "Oh, Full Mouse, Empty Mouse, I love that book." I was like, "Well, how did you know about that book?" So somehow it's got a life of its own, that book.
That's amazing.
I also wrote a book for kids who might have a parent or a sibling or a loved one who's struggling with an eating disorder, because, as I mentioned, adult women are dealing with eating disorders. These are adult women with children. And I had 2 different women at the same time who needed to be hospitalized, and between the two of them they had 6 tween-age kids. And so we had to try to explain to these children what's happening to your mother, why she's going away, what's going to change when she comes back. And I looked for resources, and of course there were no books for kids of parents with an eating disorder. So I wrote a book for tween-age kids about that. And then the latest thing that I did was I pulled some quotes from Full Mouse, Empty Mouse, and worked with an incredible illustrator to create a coloring book, because of course coloring books are ridiculously popular right now. But I couldn't find any coloring book that was actually related to food and body image, which was shocking, because eating disorder therapists recommend coloring for all their stressed out OCD clients as a way to sort of calm down. And so this wonderful illustrator named Heather Blair did these great illustrations for a coloring book, and it's called Everybody Color. And so we just came out with that, and it's sort of going like hotcakes. So I'm very, very excited about that.
That's incredible. Congratulations. Got to check that out. And also, let me ask you about this, Dr. Dina, because, with the psychology and seeing people as a therapist, I'm sure you see a broad range of, patients, but if people are watching right now, or if they know somebody that might benefit from your services, is there an age restriction limit either way, or what types of people do you accept, etc.? How would we answer that?
Yeah, I'm not, because I wrote these books for kids, a lot of times people think I work with kids, but I'm actually not a child psychologist. So I work with teens, maybe about 15 and up, and basically everybody. I work with people who are 100 pounds overweight and considering gastric bypass, people who have had gastric bypass and now they have to deal with the psychological issues that they no longer can use food to deal with, as well as people with bulimia and anorexia.
Excellent. Wow, that's great. And let's ask you this, too, because, we got to get some information for the folks watching. So if there are people in the greater Atlanta area, let's plug some information. If they want to find out more about Powers Ferry Psychological Associates and then the other, locations and websites and such, what's the best ways for them to go on the internet, look y'all up, contact information, basically?
So Powers Ferry Psychological Associates, our website is atlantapsychologist.com, and as I mentioned, there are about 30 therapists, so whatever you're dealing with, someone specializes in it in our practice. And wherever you live in town, there's probably an office near you, so that's a great resource for folks. And then my website is just dinazeckhausen.com, and then the website for the Eating Disorders Information Network is myeden.org.
Excellent. That is wonderful. Well, Dr. Dina, again, this has been a pleasure having you on. I'm glad we got the opportunity to have you on. You've been on MSNBC, CNN, PBS. Now you could tell folks you've been on GoTarryn TV. So we are just honored and ecstatic to have you. And definitely, folks, in the future, you're going to be seeing a lot more of her as she returns to the show. So I can't thank you enough. Anything else you want to say for the folks out there before we sign off today?
I hope you can get tickets to the Celebrity Dance Challenge in a few weeks at the Buckhead Theater. It's going to be an incredible event. I just have to say something so exciting that has happened with this event. We've done it for a number of years, and always our sponsors have been treatment centers. And I was waiting for this tipping point when we would finally dive into the corporate community in Atlanta, and it has happened. Sure enough, we have a lawyer who's dancing. He's got his law firm, Greenberg Traurig, as a sponsor. We have a Home Depot as a sponsor. We have a physician as a sponsor. So it's like we finally broken through that ceiling into the greater business corporate community, and I think that says so much about breaking through the stigma of eating disorders, that we're not just in this little corner over here, that everybody's recognizing that this is a public health issue, that everybody knows somebody who's struggling, and that was my goal in starting Eden, was that we would really reduce the shame and stigma around this, and I think it's really happening.
Well, I'll say this on behalf of everyone else. The executive director, Sarah Pinnell, just a phenomenal person. I was very ecstatic and excited to meet her. I mean, she really impressed us big time. So I got to commend everything y'all are doing. Let me ask you one last question here. With everything that's happened with Eden and, all of its success, how do you envision, going forward the next, say, 5-10 years? What would you be happy with to see and, find most rewarding about Eden and everything they're doing?
I think we want to really shift more to like using digital and technology to reach even more people. I mean, I think we're finally starting to do that. We've got a junior board now, and as you know, young people know more about technology than us dinosaurs, and so they're bringing us into the 21st century with some social media campaigns. We want to have more prevention programs that are online on the website. We're, as I mentioned, we're working with the School of Public Health at Emory to create a certification for coaches that will be online, where people can watch videos, take the test, get a certificate to put on their wall that they are Eden certified. And I think so more and more we're going to sort of steer in that direction. And I think that we're going to be able to reach more people that way.
That's excellent. I got to say this too before we go. I got to insert this also. You reminded me on the junior board, Judson George, if he's watching right now, I actually train his parents, Patty and Jim, if they're watching at the Family Life Center right down the street. And so I've actually reached out to him. We're hoping to get him on here for one of these one-on-one interviews as well. So if he's watching, Judson, the invitation's on the table. But Dr. Dina, thank you so much again for your time. Great stuff here today on the interview. I really appreciate you coming out here. And please come out here. Let's have you back after the Celebrity Dance Challenge for another interview to see how everything's going. You're literally right next door neighbors with us, so either we could do this here or I could walk over there and we could do it at your office. Either way. So.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And folks, here comes Dr. Dina's contact information one more time. All right, everybody, there you have it. You saw the contact information, and that was Dr. Dina Zeckhausen for the first time here on GoTarryn TV. I do want to give video credit and acknowledgement to Mr. Jeshua Pope, the intern for GoTarryn Personal Training. And again, folks, you heard Dr. Zeckhausen. Please make sure to go check out the upcoming Celebrity Dance Challenge. We've seen the Eating Disorder Information Network and their fine team on here, as well as Asia from the Volley of Fitness Dance Studio. Everybody's been telling you to check it out, and it's coming up very soon, so you don't want to miss out on that. If you live in the greater Atlanta area, you saw the contact information. It's the Buckhead Theater, and you don't want to miss it because it's going to be fantastic. So again, Dr. Dina Zeckhausen and her fine team, Powers Ferry Psychological Associates, check them out today. And also, if you wouldn't mind, please make sure to go to the website link at the bottom of your screen right there, www.gotarryn.tv. And also, one more thing, well, three more things I should say, but do all three, and that'll be great. I'd love to invite everyone to please make sure to like GoTarryn on Facebook, subscribe to GoTarryn on YouTube, and follow GoTarryn on Twitter. And that'll keep you connected with the master of the personal training universe, Tarryn, the traveling trainer of GoTarryn Personal Training, who always tells each and every one of you that it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next video blog, everybody. Bye-bye.